Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to Mostly Accurate, the podcast where I try to make sense of the news, mom life, and whatever chaos is currently trending. Emphasis on try. Okay. So I know every single week I say I'm going to try and keep it short and somehow I end up spiraling into like a 20-minute rant about who knows what. This week, I'm going to try not to do that. And we have a lot lined up. We've got everything from moose playing bumper cars in Michigan to Halloween mass crime spree straight out of a scary movie, plus a tea time segment that'll make you side eye every miracle weight loss shot ad that you've ever seen. So grab your coffee, your water bottle, or honestly, your, I don't know, emotional support snack because it is time to get mostly accurate. Hello, hello. All right, current events. Our first current event today, we're going to call it When Nature Fights Back because the moose are mad in Michigan. Okay, so apparently the moose in northern Michigan have had like enough. Like they're done with it. They're officially entering their I'm not moving for you anymore. So according to Fox 2 Detroit, collisions between moose and vehicles are surging. And not just a little bit, like 60 crashes in the past 4 years alone. That's almost 1/4 of all the recorded moose car collisions since 1984. So yeah, the moose are winning. Okay, first of all, side note, I don't know why, but like I really didn't think like moose lived in Michigan. I used to live in Colorado and there was moose there and I've seen a moose like in Colorado off the highway. But Michigan, I didn't know the mooses lived here. The moosies, the meese. Yeah, I didn't know they lived here. So that was a fun new fact for me. I don't know if it is for you or you might just think I'm dumb, but whatever. So, what's going on? The Michigan Department of Natural Resources says that the moose population is migrating further south. So, maybe that's why I haven't seen the moose because they're like in northern Michigan. I don't know. Maybe they're tired and they're cold. Maybe they found out about the new Starbucks in Marquette. Either way, they're wandering into more populated areas across rural highways where drivers are zooming through like it's NASCAR in the UP. So, get this. One of the hot zones is US 41 between Nestoria and M26 where they have had 45 collisions. I'm just saying, if your GPS says turn on to US 41, I don't know, maybe don't. You know, like the moose crossing signs that are supposed to be like warning the drivers that there's moose, people keep stealing them. And I don't know, I can't decide if it's the most like Michigan thing I've ever heard or just, I don't know, the dumbest. Like there's some guy somewhere proudly displaying a bright yellow moose crossing sign is in his garage. Meanwhile, there's actual moose out there being like, dude, I needed that. So now the DNR is using like plain signs with like no moose picture on them, just like text, which is like super boring and lame because apparently people won't steal a sign unless there's a cute animal on it, which honestly, I don't know. I guess it says a lot about the human species. So like what's going on though really like with these moose. So Michigan has been trying to grow its like moose population since the 1980s, which is like also another fun moose fact for me because I apparently don't know shit about moose. So they reintroduced the species hoping that like they could reach like 1,000 moose per year by the year 2000 or something like that. And we're sitting like roughly at that actually, which is wild because they're still like managing to destroy a surprising number of vehicles. At this point, we might as well call them like Michigan's like unofficial traffic cops. So officials are talking about putting up wildlife fencing and even like animal overpasses, which sounds adorable. It really does until you realize that's just a bridge for moose. Isn't there like what's that? Isn't there a video game like Animal Crossing or something? I don't know. But yeah, somewhere out there is like a Michigan civil engineer just like ready to design this like moose expressway, which I don't know. I guess it's kind of cool. I'm just imagining like moose casually walking over there, like finally an infrastructure for me, you know? Like, good for you, moose. I can't decide if these moose are bold or just like terrible at directions though. Like, why is this happening? Like, hey Carl, is that the forest? No, Greg, that's a Ford F-150. Like, Come on. Is our moose population just like, I don't know, slowly declining in intelligence at this rate? I mean, Michigan drivers need like moose radar detectors more than they need like seat heaters, it sounds like. So, yeah, if you're driving in Michigan anytime soon, keep your eyes open, slow down because the moose don't care about your insurance deductible. And, they definitely don't care about your new grill. And if you must steal a sign, maybe just like take a selfie with it instead. I don't know. Like that way, both you and the moose get to make it home safe. All right, switching gears from wildlife to wildlife choices. Down in Alexandria, Virginia, three people decided to take Halloween like way too far. So, according to WUSA 9, a masked trio dressed like horror movie villains showed up to a family home around 10 p.m. and started like banging on the doors, yelling threats, and trying to break in. That is bizarre. I don't know if you've seen this video, just like Google it, I don't know, Google masked trio and it'll like show like the full video of the ring camera footage. Terrifying, you guys. It's super scary. And when the family asked who it was, one of them said, "Happy Halloween." Okay, because nothing says festive spirit like a potential home invasion. The group reportedly were wearing masks that look like a clown, a nun, and Mike Myers. So basically, the scariest group chat ever, right? They slashed window screens. They circled the home for about 10 minutes before they finally ran off. Now, police are investigating and using the doorbell footage to track them down, which, like, thank God for ring cameras if you think about it. Otherwise, this would just like sound like something straight out of like The Purge, Suburban Edition. And let's be honest, because Halloween is supposed to be about candy, not criminal records. Somewhere there's a group chat that started like, "Oh, let's prank somebody," and ended up with, "So we might be on the news tonight." I don't know. And you gotta think it's just kids, but at the same time, it's like, what were they thinking? Like, I can just imagine how this conversation went after they did this. Like, bro, do you think we went too far? Dude, the nun costume is your idea. Like, I can just see this unraveling, and I'm sure they're gonna catch these kids, I'm assuming, or teenagers very soon. Also, can we talk about the timing of this? 10 p.m. on a weeknight? If somebody knocked on my door at that hour wearing a mask, I'm not calling a cops. I'm calling an exorcist. Like, no, 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 no. No, thank you. I have a sleeping baby in my house. Actually, correct that. I'm totally calling the cops. I'm calling the cops. I'm calling Tom Cruise. I'm calling Jesus, like everybody. Like, what are you doing at my door? Like, I hate answering the door for just like normally answering the door, but just like imagine like that. Somebody like oh my gosh, nope, 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 nope. And yeah, it's just too much to me. So yeah, moral of the story, don't do crimes or pranks in horror masks. It's just like not nice. It's not right. And it's like a thin line between like funny TikTok and felony. Now that we're all caught up with current events, let's get into tea time. This is where we sip on stories that make you say, wait, people are doing what now? So today we're talking about Hulu's Impact Nightline episode, The Dark Shot, Counterfeit Weight Loss Drugs. And if you've been on TikTok or Instagram lately, the For You page probably looks like an Ozempic commercial. Everyone's calling it the miracle shot, the skinny jab, and the suddenly size 6 without giving up bread syringe. But behind the filters and the hashtags, there's a really dark side to this because there's a lot of counterfeit versions of the drugs that are popping up everywhere. And some of them are turning out to be really deadly. We're just gonna get into this. So Ozempic. This, I think it was a Nightline episode. I remember I was watching this and then Jameson walks past and he's like, "Are you watching Dateline?" And I was like, no, no, no. I'm watching Nightline. Okay. Completely different. But you can watch this documentary on Hulu. It's a new release. And the episode opens up with Real Housewives of New Jersey star Dolores. I love Dolores. And New Jersey is my favorite Real Housewives like franchise series. Just love Real Housewives. It's so entertaining. I'm watching Salt Lake City right now, when I have time. But anyway, The whole episode, the Nightline episode, opens up with Dolores explaining how once she hit her 40s, it became really difficult for her to lose weight. And being in the public eye, it's obviously like, you know, people are very critical, critical of reality stars and all this. And Dolores is awesome. She's been like super open about how she started taking Ozempic and how she started losing weight. And she's basically talking about when she was in her 40s, she went to a doctor and the doctor told her that she was insulin resistant and pre-diabetic. And that's when she was prescribed GLP-1s. And she said that she's thankful and she feels lucky right now to know that, she's in a financial position where she can afford these drugs because like hers with a coupon is about $550 a month. And for some, actually, I wouldn't say for some, for most people, that's a big bill. I mean, if we think about reality, you got your mortgage, you got your bills, daycare, children are just expensive in general. Just everything's expensive in general. So like $550, quite a bit, if you think about it realistically. What Dolores said, we're all thinking it, it works, but the price tag hurts worse than, like leg day after a 6-month break or something. And the problem is that you've got sky high demand and limited supply and a price that makes your credit card cry, which basically is a perfect recipe for scammers to swoop in and give you that discount code. Let's take a quick science break. What is Ozempic? Why is this working? Why so many people like want to be on it? Ozempic isn't like some magical skinny potion brewed by fairy godmothers in lab coats. It's actually a type 2 diabetes medication. The active ingredient is semaglutide, which mimics the hormone called GLP-1. And this helps control blood sugar and slows digestion and tells your brain that you're full. So yes, people started losing weight originally because their bodies hit like, I'm done eating before inhaling an entire charcuterie board, which I wish I had that sometimes, but I'm trying to learn how to eat intuitively along with the intermittent, gosh, damn it, that word, intermittent fasting. But I mean, it's almost like a restart switch for your body because when you're like a baby, you stop eating when you're full. So our brain chemistry, it helps signal that like, hey, I'm done eating. Then came Wegovy, which is a version approved for weight management. And cue the social media explosion. Celebrities, influencers, your coworkers, your cousin, everybody's just like trying it out. And then like suddenly Ozempic was harder to find than, a parking spot at Trader Joe's. And when it's something expensive and impossible to get, like that's when the underground like wellness market slides with, hey girl, I got what you need. And all these problems start to arise. So TikTok and Instagram have basically turned into like digital street corners at this point. Instead of like fake designer bags, people are selling fake injectables. And you'll see hashtags like skinny shot, natural Ozempic, and influencers who call themselves like health coaches and biohackers and stuff. They're pushing syringes like it's lip gloss, basically. They'll say things like no prescription needed, ships today. Translation is basically like absolutely not FDA approved. It scares me a little bit just to kind of think about that, but like I totally get it because people they're getting desperate for something that's actually going to help them and actually going to work. But if someone's taking Venmo for medicine and shipping it in a padded envelope, that's probably going to be counterfeit, and I'm pretty sure that's a crime. So the documentary continues and we meet this like British influencer, Ashleen Horgan Wallace. And she's like a British reality star. And I guess she's like been in the public eye for like 20 years. I've never heard of her, but she's big overseas. She went through like this rough patch where she was dealing with a lot of grief and began emotionally eating, and she gained a lot of weight. And again, being in the public eye, this is when the problems start to arise because people start to get desperate. And, online trolls are mean. They can be very mean and very hurtful. And, if you do feed into that stuff, I can totally see like how you can spiral. So she wanted to try Ozempic legally, but the doctors there said that she didn't qualify. And the reason she didn't qualify was because she wasn't morbidly obese and, she wasn't diabetic. And basically all they were going to tell her is go to the gym. And as easy as that sounds, it just, everybody is different and that just doesn't work for everyone. So she turned to the internet. She found a supplier on the dark web and then she messaged the supplier through WhatsApp. Huge, huge red flag there. I'm sorry, but yeah, if you're contacting a business through a WhatsApp number, just red flags everywhere is all I'm trying to say. So anyway, she contacts this supplier and she paid about 300 pounds, which in American dollars is about $400 for 4 syringes. And then they arrived in the mail. They were labeled Ozempic. She had no prescription and she wasn't asked any other questions. It was just like, oh, you got money? Here you go. And they mailed them. So she took one shot and within hours, she became like violently ill, like where she was like vomiting. She had blurred vision, just the works basically. And she didn't go to the hospital because she felt embarrassed. And I can see why she felt embarrassed. It was like her fault that she took the shots, right? But no, girl. If there was ever a time not to tough it out, it's when your body is rejecting some mystery fluid that you just injected to it that you bought from WhatsApp from a stranger. Like, go to the hospital, go get some help. And you're not gonna be in trouble. You're a victim at this point. She's not the only one this has happened to. And sadly, like there's hundreds, thousands of more that this is happening to. There have been seizures caused by these, black market injectables. People are having convulsions and even near death cases linked to fake GLP-1 shots. The FDA has seized thousands of counterfeit Ozempic units in the last 2 years, and some were actually like shipped out to legitimate pharmacies, which is just crazy to me. Most of the fakes were traced back to illegal operations based in the UK, China, India, Turkey, and Mexico. But, there's different ports in the US, and one of them that was described in the documentary is the port of Cincinnati, which turned up millions, like millions of dollars worth of fake injectables. So yeah, your Amazon package might have been sitting next to a box labeled definitely real Ozempic. We don't know how much is really coming into the US. And those ports, so the problem that they described that there was that there is gray market drugs coming in. And what I understood them explain what gray market is that these are drugs that are meant for a different country, for example. So let's say there's a drug in Mexico and it's made for the market in Mexico, but then those drugs come into the US. Those are gray market. So yes, it may be legal and prescribable in that country, but then when it comes to the US, it is not legal or FDA approved because you can't prove like the storage conditions, the temperatures. It's gray market is just like sounds like a gray area, right? So yeah, that was a fun fact that I learned. What shocked me most is a lot of people who buy these fakes think that they're going to get in trouble if they report it. The law treats them as victims instead of criminals. So authorities want to find the people profiting off fear, body pressure, impossible beauty standards, not shame of those who got duped. So they want to find, the dealers. They want to find the distributors of these fake drugs because it isn't about vanity. It's about health and trust and how desperation, I guess, at this point meets a financial opportunity. And that really isn't right. And I guess we'll see what happens in the coming years because I do know that there are semaglutides that are no prescription needed being sold in the US. Whether or not they're FDA approved, I guess, I don't know. This is just like a whole new thing that is happening in society and, history. Isn't it great to be a millennial? We've just gone through so many different things going on. But let's just talk about how you can protect yourself. Let's make sure that you, your bestie, anybody just never end up sharing your own Hulu doc series experience. So here's just like a little checklist of red flags. No prescription needed. Do your research, okay? Like I said, I'm pretty sure that there are certain websites where you can purchase this product, like semaglutide. Any type of GLP-1s. There's a lot of like vitamin shops that are now selling compounded semaglutide. Just do your research. If you see anything that says no prescription needed, if they want cryptocurrency or Venmo as a payment, like girl, it's not medicine, it's a drug deal. The only like reachable mode of contact is like WhatsApp or DMs. You're not buying Ozempic. You're gonna get scammed. I don't think that they have a customer service department. I'm just gonna go out there and say that. Weird packaging or typos in the label. That's just a big red flag as well. And then if the price is just too good to be true, it could be because it is too good to be true. And if you've taken something and start feeling off, like don't wait it out or don't Google it, or crowdsource on Reddit. Call your doctor. Go to the ER. It's better to be safe than sorry, and tell them exactly what you took. There's no shame. There's no judgment. And honestly, it could literally save your life at this point. And you can also report counterfeit drugs on the FDA's Web Watch program. So I'm sure you could just Google that, and that's how they track and shut down these counterfeit sellers, basically. So, closing thoughts on this segment, at the end of the day, the whole counterfeit shop mess is like a perfect storm because you got sky high demand, body pressure, influencer culture, and an online hustle rolled into one syringe, basically. So, take care of yourself, friends, drink water, move your body, ignore sketchy DMs. And remember, the only shots that you should be getting from strangers are the espresso kind. Now that we've learned so many things today, let's just take a moment and unwind for our mom moment of the week. And honestly, this week, my house looks like a tiny tornado hit it. There's things everywhere. There's Fisher Price little people just scattered all over my living room. The mega blocks are forming some kind of like modern art sculpture in the kitchen at this point. There's random balls everywhere waiting for you to trip on. It's just great. And I just keep finding random things hidden in places they're not supposed to be. Like every single corner is basically like a surprise toy waiting to trip on or, I don't know, fall out of nowhere and just like whack you in the head. But I've just kind of given up on cleaning it up. I'm so thankful that Jameson loves to vacuum because at least like he tries to keep up with it. But I used to, at the end of the day, I used to just pick everything up and clean up the living room before I went to bed. And now I'm just like, I kind of just watch where I'm stepping and like walk over everything, but whatever, it's fine. But meanwhile, Maddox is officially a one kid demolition crew at this point. He's running everywhere. He's climbing the stairs and he's somehow like figuring out how to like, I don't know, scaling the laundry basket like and turning it into a jungle gym. Like he loves to help. He loves helping with the dishwasher and folding laundry. So if I bring the laundry basket out into the living room, he will dump everything out. He'll throw everything out. He like is very particular about what he's taking out of there. He'll flip the laundry basket over. He will push it against a piece of furniture, climb on top of that, then climb on top of the furniture. It's just like everything's a jungle gym. His imagination is just limitless at this point. And the fake crying has become like an art form for this little guy. I don't even know if he gets this from me or from Jameson, but he sure gets like everything he wants. Like he's gotten to the point where like he knows he's not supposed to be doing something or he wants something. And then he just starts like whining, but just like this like low, like I don't even know. I can't even explain it. Just like the level of like the volume of his whining is just so funny because he's got like these dramatic pauses and these big sad eyes and he knows exactly that he's going to get whatever he wants from mommy. But I just like, I see your game and you think you're so clever. Just like when he's hiding and he thinks I can't see him, he's probably like, oh my gosh, she's so dumb. She can't see me. I'm right here behind the curtain. Like, buddy, I invented that game. But anyway, it just these days are just hitting me differently lately. I don't know what it is. Like I'll be at work and I just seem to like miss him more than I used to when I'm at work. And I don't know if it's just like some weird hormonal shift that's happening in me, or maybe I'm just like realizing how quickly time is going and how quickly he's growing. And I don't know how every moment I wish I could just like capture it, but like either way it's just hitting me harder than like my first cup of coffee at 7 a.m. And then like it's because I'm probably almost done breastfeeding too, which is wild and it's like a relief and it's like freedom and it's bittersweet and nostalgia all at once. And like my boobs are probably like, finally, some peace. I can quit being working ladies. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to like enjoy the last times because I don't really know like which time is gonna be the last time, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to just take all the feels in, I think, this week. Yeah, but it's just flying by super fast. And the truth about parenting, it's messy, it's loud, it's exhausting, and it's full of fake tears and smiles that make you melt. The house is chaos, the toddler is unstoppable, and somehow your heart just grows even while your sanity shrinks. Those little moments, I don't know, just watching him explore, learning, and just tugging at my heartstrings. It's all so worth it. And I totally get that now these days. So, yes, house is a disaster. The toddler's a whirlwind, and my emotions are all over the place. But this is only temporary. And I don't know, I still love it. And sometimes surviving the mess is the most accurate way to measure a good day. And that's going to do it for this week, guys. That's this week's episode of Mostly Accurate, where the moose are driving like it's Grand Theft Auto, mass villains are turning suburban Virginia into low-budget horror film, and Counterfeit Ozempic is proof that the internet will literally sell you anything. If you've made it this far, congrats. You've survived the chaos and maybe even learned something. So, emphasis on maybe. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review so we can keep doing this, so we can keep hanging out. I love chatting with you. I love doing this. This week we had a learning experience. Who knows what we're doing next week? I don't really until the day before sometimes. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Pocket Casts, Apple, Spotify, all of them. Spotify is my home platform. You can comment on Spotify, which is great. So you can have conversations on those episodes. So if you guys follow me on Spotify, great. I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, comment, like, subscribe. YouTube is also my other favorite platform. So until next time, stay curious, stay caffeinated, and please, if a stranger offers you a miracle shot on WhatsApp, just say no and get yourself a latte instead. All right, that's it for today. Okay, love you. Bye. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The facts are fuzzy. Our stories and opinions are just that, stories and opinions, not meant to be taken as professional advice.